I am Jen and I am in Louisiana and I'm going to make today one of my favorite salads. It's a kale and couscous salad, and I do want to say that I got this recipe from our friends at Forks Over Knives, and they have wonderful, wonderful oil-free, fat-free, low-cal, high-protein fiber recipes, and this is one of theirs that I have taken and run with it, and we just love it. First we're going to do is start the water for our couscous. And I'll talk about couscous in just a minute, let you know what that is. But I'm going to make a broth. You can have a vegetable broth already made and add that, but I do not have a pre-made vegetable broth, so I am using water. And I am using a bouillon. There's this brand, Better Than Bouillon. It's an oil-free vegetable bouillon, and I'm taking a teaspoon of that and sticking it in here. So I'm turning this on medium heat. And the reason I'm bringing it to a boil on medium heat is I am making a broth and I want to infuse flavors into this broth as it's coming to a boil. And one of those things is a half of a small onion diced. So while this is coming to a boil, it's going to cook those onions, it's going to soften them up, and it's going to make them less bitter and a little sweeter. I'm also adding 2 cloves of garlic, and again, it's seasoning the broth as it's coming to a boil. And then I've got some spices here. This is curry, cumin, and paprika. So I'm bringing this to a boil over medium heat. And when it comes to a boil, I'm gonna go ahead and add this couscous. Now I have a whole wheat couscous here. This is a little hard to find in the grocery store for whole wheat. You can usually find a regular non-whole wheat version. It comes in a container like this, one of these clear plastic tubs. I order the whole wheat on the internet through Amazon. And here's what it looks like. This is a pearl couscous, so it is a larger grain than a regular couscous, which is normally small. You can use a regular couscous. You can use quinoa. This is actually pasta, so you can use small. They have tiny pasta shapes. You can put that in here too. Okay, so while that's coming to a boil, I'm going to go ahead and get the kale prepped and ready. And so this is kale, and a lot of people have problems with it because when you eat kale raw, it's kind of bitter, it's hard to eat, but we are going to take care of that today. And I left one on the stem. This is half a bunch that I have here. I left one on the stem so I can show you it's so easy to take off the stem. So what I'm doing is I'm holding the top part of the kale, and I'm going to run my fingers right down the stem, take off the bottom, and now I'm going to hold the stem. I'm going to run my fingers right down there. And I have the kale off the stem, and we're going to chop it. I'm going to lay it out as flat as I can. I'm going to roll it up into a bunch. I'm going to get my knife, and what I like to do when I'm chopping something is I'm going to flatten it up against my knife. I'm just going to slice down through it. I'm going to make sure your fingers are always tucked in when you're slicing and holding something like that. Okay, and then I'm going to turn it and just slice it again across that grain, so you end up with a small chop. Put it in this bowl. Okay, so now what we're going to do is make this a sweeter kale. Like I said earlier, kale can be bitter, so we're going to sweeten it up or just get some of that bitterness out by massaging it. And I'm going to add some lemon juice to this. This is about 2 tablespoons of lemon juice. I'm going to get in here and massage it. Now kale's pretty tough, so you don't have to be gentle with it. You can give it a nice, good squeeze and massage, and I'm blending it with that lemon juice. Now what you would normally do is let that sit on the side and kind of marinate while you're chopping the rest of your vegetables for the salad. My water has come to a boil, so I'm going to just add the couscous in here. And we're going to keep it on medium heat, let it come back to a boil while that couscous cooks. Now, we only did 1 cup of water to 1 cup of the pasta, because couscous is a pasta. So normally when you cook pasta, you do a lot of water to the pasta, but what I want to do is all that flavoring that's in that broth, as this pasta expands and grows, I want it to absorb all that flavor right into the pasta itself. I have already pre-chopped my veggies, so we'll just go ahead and get this all ready. The recipe calls for aroma tomatoes seeded and diced. My neighbor had some beautiful cherry tomatoes growing in their garden, so I'm just going to put in some cherry tomatoes and red or orange pepper. I also have some cucumber, green onions, slice the white and the green parts, some basil, about 3 tablespoons of fresh chopped basil, parsley, again from my sweet neighbor's garden, and some pine nuts. You can add these pine nuts raw if you want. I toasted these. You can also do sunflower seeds if you'd rather. You can do, and then raisins. So raisins go so wonderful when you have something with curry powder. It adds a nice little sweetness to it. Okay, just to show you, we're boiling pretty good over here, so I'm going to turn this down a little bit. Let it continue cooking. So once the couscous is done cooking, you're going to want to let it cool down before you add it to your salad, because otherwise it'll cook up your greens. But I do have some that I pre-made here. So you can see this is the whole wheat couscous with the onions and the garlic in there. And I'm going to toss that into the bowl. And I am just going to add a little bit of salt and pepper. I have a pink Himalayan sea salt here. Just going to sprinkle a little bit. And a little bit of fresh ground pepper. Stir this up. So this is such an awesome salad because it has kale in there. It holds really well. And now we're mixing this couscous that is seasoned with the curry powder and the paprika and the cumin with the lemon juice. And we have this great, awesome pasta salad